Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. Appreciate everyone coming in here on a Monday afternoon. Got Jon Impemba with me today, filling in for Howard, but we still got some baseball picks to give out to everyone. Some Clemson versus Duke predictions for tonight's only football game. So, full show today for you. What's up, John?
Not too much. A little Labor Day long weekend for most, so no better way to spend it than here. We got, as I mentioned, some afternoon. We got a bunch of baseball games literally kicking off right now. 4:10, first pitch for a lot of the slate, and then we have some games kicking off around 6 o'clock as well. So definitely some time still to get some baseball bets in, and of course, as you mentioned, a lot of other stuff going on. It's still fantasy football draft season. That season kicks off Thursday, so it's been a busy time around these parts.
Yeah, we got 5 games starting up like right now and within the next couple of minutes here. We won't be giving out any picks for those unless you got any, John, that you want to throw out at the last minute for the people for these afternoon games, or no?
I like Merrill Kelly under earned runs a lot against Colorado. I think that's probably a pretty good one. Okay. And I think you can go. Let's see, what was the other one that I had there for the afternoon? Now I have to re-bring it up. See what I bet this afternoon. And Merrill Kelly, and I had
Merrill Kelly at home too against the Colorado lineup, which is a great spot for him. So
I like the over 2.5 earned runs from Brian Wu here. If you go look at his numbers against lefties, they're abysmal. It's like a 400 WOBA, 650 slug. Like he's just getting hammered by lefties. And you look at the Reds lineup, a lot of lefties in that lineup, from Fraley to Friedel to Mantini to Martini to Ali De La Cruz, like ton of lefties in that lineup for Cincinnati, and they're in Cincinnati, so we know how big of an offensive ballpark that is. So I like the Brian Wu over 2.5 earned, and I like the Merrill Kelly under 2.5 earned today.
Okay. One I like is the Red Sox money line going against the Rays. I just think Aaron Savali's been pitching way over his head and expecting some regression at some point. And I think the Red Sox lineup against righties is a good spot for that to happen. Worries me a little bit on the other side with Brian Bayo on the road and in a day game, which his splits are not great in day games this year.
And he struggles against lefties too. And guys like Josh Lowe really hitting the ball well. Luke Raley hits for a lot of power. Brandon Lau, as we know, hits for a lot of power. So he's not keeping that ball down. That could obviously be a problem for him today too.
I did see the Rays lineup though had without Yandy Diaz and one other big bat I saw that wasn't in their lineup today, which kind of had me looking at the Red Sox side of things. But the Red Sox lineup, by the way, is also very lefty heavy. I don't know if you saw that.
Weiler Abreu is leading off, which I never thought would be the case.
So we got lefty bats in that game. All right, so you like Merrill Kelly's under earned runs and the over earned runs for Brian Wu for the Mariners. Yeah. All right, so get those picks in right now if you want to follow along. We'll track those live as we're going on today's show. I mentioned a little bit later, I will be giving out some of my bets and some picks, maybe a player prop for Clemson versus Duke tonight. We had a bunch of college football games this weekend, obviously. Last night, awesome LSU versus Florida State game that was going on. But tonight, Clemson versus Duke is the only game on the schedule tonight. The college football is taking advantage of the NFL being off another week, so they're taking over Monday Night Football tonight. But so I'll give out a pick or two for that game tonight if you're watching.
What happened in the second half of that game last night? That's what I want to know, because it was like 14-14 and a half. I was like, ooh, like the under might be looking good for the game here. I saw a live line on the under of like 55 and a half. I was like, 55 and a half, it's 14-14. Like that feels like an easy under. And then Florida State basically scored that by themselves in the second half. So
they did. Yeah, they took over. I should have gave this pick out on Friday's show. I did not, but I had Florida State. They were underdogs in that game, plus 2.5, and I liked them on the money line too. And it paid off because that offense is legit. Jordan Travis is like a legit Heisman contender if Florida State is going to be, a top team in the country this year all season. So, that offense, and they had a bunch of really good. Keon Coleman, he caught 3 touchdowns last night for Florida State. Transfer from Michigan State, a really good pickup for them. Jaheim Bell, another really good pickup transfer. So, that offense is real. It was basically a home game for Florida State. It was neutral, but it was in Orlando. And it was, if you saw the game, if you watched it all, it was basically a home game for Florida State there. But the offense just really picked up in that second half. If you had if you were live betting it on Florida State or the over, it really helped. But tonight's game should be a good one. And it's an interesting spread for Clemson. So, I'll break that down a little bit, but we got to give out some betting picks for tonight. And if you guys have any picks of your own that you want to throw at us, definitely hit us up in this chat here on YouTube or wherever you're watching. And we'll give us some opinions on those because why not spend some the night,
before we do that,
baseball.
I want to get your quick take here because on Friday we didn't know what to do with Colorado. They were getting 21 points. They were huge underdogs in the money line. And then Deion Sanders went out there and upset TCU in quotations upset. Are they real? I mean, they gave up a lot of points, but they scored a lot of points.
So that's the thing. And on the show, I gave out the over with the Better Edge contest that we had running. That was one of the overs I liked when we were doing over-unders for different games. And that one definitely came through because we had like 80+ points scored. But the Colorado defense is a worry. They have they were bad last year. They're not going to be much better this year. A lot of transfer additions there, new defensive coordinator. It's going to be, in their Pac-12 schedule, they're going to face a lot of good offenses that are going to put up points. So like the season-long expectations, they might make a bowl game now, but their defense is definitely a worry. And those games, I'll probably be taking a lot of overs whenever Colorado's on the schedule. But their offense, listen, Deion's son, Shedeur Sanders, showed out. I mean, this guy at Jackson State last year was a stud. People really questioned whether he could carry that over. But honestly, TCU's defense is you just saw them get torn apart. They're not expected to be great this year. Honestly, last year, they made a run to the national championship game, but they did it largely on their own offense, kind of outscoring teams. Their defense, had some talent, but really could have cost them at times. And so I'm, obviously I didn't give out Colorado to win. I know someone in the chat said, take Colorado on the money line.
Or something like that.
Yeah, that hit huge. So I'm not totally surprised that the offense of Colorado put up points here. I thought that was going to happen, but I really thought TCU's defense would do enough for TCU to win there. But that it's crazy. And so week 2, I was already looking ahead to this upcoming, next Saturday's games, and Colorado is at home against Nebraska. It should be another spot where they put up points. They're favored in it. The total's around like 62 or so. And it's going to be a great one to watch to see if they can keep it going. They got a guy, I don't know if you noticed, Travis Hunter.
He played both ways.
He played like 120+ snaps both ways. And in the mold of Deion Sanders there, and he's getting some Heisman buzz because if he keeps this up, it's going to be hard.
He had an interception on defense and 3 touchdowns on offense or something like that, right? Like, it's crazy.
He's a stud. I mean, this is a guy, by the way. So he was like a top recruit, and he could have gone to a bunch of different top schools, but he chose to go to Jackson State last year to play with Deion.
Yeah. Is that the NIL guy? He got the big NIL
he got a big NIL deal. Yeah.
And
and he wanted to play for another two-way player like Deion. So I get that. And but he's a legit talent. And he's I think he's a sophomore now. So like next year, he's going to be one of those top guys in the draft that will surely go probably in the top 10 if he keeps this up. But I mean, by the way, his Heisman buzz, it's hard to view him playing both ways every single game. Like he's
Right.
he might get hurt. You hate to root against that, but it's just really hard to do at the college football level, and especially as I mentioned, when you're going to be facing some of these top offenses from the Pac-12 like USC,
Sure.
Washington. We'll see if he continues playing both ways or if he sticks to one or the other. I mean, he's viewed as like a better cornerback, better defensive player.
Yeah. That pick was that was an athletic play by him to cut off the route there and make the diving interception. But, he's got the hands, obviously, to go ball hawk a little bit if they do throw his way. So,
yeah. I mean, Colorado's offense, too, kind of under the radar because they brought in a couple of other top transfers from South Florida that in the receiving core. So, like, their offense is definitely one that can keep pace with, like, a USC. But, the USC versus they play Colorado soon, and it's going to be like a 90 total points in that one, I would assume, because Caleb Williams will take advantage of that Colorado defense. So, that was a huge storyline from college football Saturday, and it was like one of the first games too. So that was cool. All right, let's look to tonight though. Some baseball picks for everyone. What's your best bet tonight, John?
Yeah, for me, looking at the slate here, I went Phillies team total over 4.5 runs scored here. You're looking at Philly in their matchup here this evening, going up against San Diego. Rich Hill's on the mound for the Padres. That's just been an automatic play against for me. Rich Hill just is not a good pitcher at this point anymore. And it doesn't even matter that he's a lefty and a lot of the power hitters for the Phillies are on the left side. They just have a lot of guys that are capable of hitting right now. Guys like Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, obviously on fire, Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Real Muto, like up and down that lineup. Just a bunch of guys that can do damage, and Rich Hill just doesn't really have it for me. So we're going to go Phillies team total over 4.5.
I like that. Yeah, I have a pick coming up, with a Phillies hitter because, that matchup against Rich Hill, he's got an 8.50 ERA in the month of August.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
It's, we got a couple of different pitchers that just really haven't panned out after the trade deadline, like him. Lucas Giolito was not a good pickup.
Giolito's on his third team now,
now he's on his third team. Rich Hill has not been what the Padres wanted as a starter for them. So, it's interesting because the Padres are favored tonight. Taijuan Walker for the Phillies, but I do think that the Phillies could put up some runs here, and the Padres still might win the game, but we'll see. My best bet, I'm going with the Orioles on the run line tonight, going against the Angels. Just mentioned the Angels, so I just have really bad vibes, and they just got swept by Oakland over the weekend, and I just don't think it's going to get much better here. And Grayson Rodriguez has been a guy I've been very high on and bet on plenty since he's rejoined this Orioles rotation at the All-Star break. He's got a 2.83 ERA since this past month and a half, and a 2.64 ERA over the past month with 4 straight quality starts coming into tonight. The Angels offense, decent numbers against right-handed pitching lately, but I just expect Rodriguez to limit the damage enough, and he's going to get run support here because the Angels have Kenny Rosenberg starting for them tonight. And it's basically out of necessity because they just lost Giolito. They've just lost a bunch of arms in the bullpen. They called up some guys from AAA, and Rosenberg is one of those guys where they're just kind of throwing in there. But he had a 7.20 ERA over his last 5 AAA starts before he got called up a couple of weeks ago, and he's only made a couple appearances out of relief for the Angels, and it's not gone well. He's allowed 5 runs over 9 innings, over 7 innings, I guess, over these last 2 outings out of relief, and now he's going to be starting this game. A lefty, the Orioles hit lefties well. They have all season, so I just have faith in the Orioles here, and this run line on the road for them. I love it even more because this bullpen for the Angels is ugly. Outside of Carlos Estevez, their good closer, they called up 5 AAA guys to fill out the bullpen because they lost Reynaldo Lopez, Matt Moore, Dominic Leone. I mentioned Giolito gone, so now they're having to use Rosenberg as a starter. Once it gets to like the 7th, 8th innings, we could see the Orioles push across a few more to just stretch this lead out. So, give me the Orioles run line here.
Yeah, I like it. I was in on Grayson today as well when it comes to DFS, so I definitely can see him shutting down this lineup, holding it close. Plus, he's really started to turn a corner basically over the last month or so anyway. So he's one of the top pitching prospects in baseball for a reason, and now we're seeing it.
Yeah, he's been a really good bright spot for the Orioles. All right, what other picks you got going tonight?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, kind of looking at some of the things we've talked about, I do like Corbin Burns over the 18.5 outs. It's at plus 165. He's going up against Pittsburgh here tonight. I know he's on the road, but Burns has gone over this in 2 of his last 3 starts. He's a guy that is, they let him go to a high pitch count. They let him throw 100 plus fairly often. So, for him to just need the 18.5 outs and you're getting plus money on it, Pittsburgh isn't all that good. I know guys like Brian Hayes are definitely playing a little bit better, but I would trust Burns here at the plus 165 to get the over 18.5 outs is like one of my other top plays for today.
That's really juiced. Plus 165 odds is I guess because it's over the key outline of 18 ounce where you have to bank on him going at least over 6 innings here. So, and
he's done it 2 of the last 3, so I'm willing to just give the chance that he does it here.
Yeah. All right, my another pick I got. I mentioned the Phillies. You like their team total, and I think Trey Turner will have a big part of that because he's running hot. I've mentioned him a few times now, but over the past month, the guy is just lights out, and he's hitting 364 over the past month with 11 homers, 1162 OPS, 9 doubles across these 27 games. And over the past week, he's hitting 414. He's got 6 home runs over the past 7 games, 9 home runs over the past 15 games. He's riding a total base streak, over 1.5 total bases. This is the prop I'm going with here. He's been over this in 6 straight games and 9 of the past 10 coming into tonight. Until he cools off, I just got to continue to ride him. His hits, runs, RBIs prop tonight over 1.5 was like juiced to minus 160. So staying away from that, but I just like the total bases here. And you mentioned earlier just the matchup against Rich Hill, the 8.50 ERA again in his 5 starts in August since joining the Padres. He's got worse numbers against right-handed hitters this year. And also, the cherry on top is Trey Turner. Really good BVP numbers against Hill, 471 batting average. That's 8 for 17 in his career, 2 doubles and a homer against Rich Hill. So give me Trey Turner over his total bases.
Love that. Yeah, again, I'm willing to play pretty much every prop going against Rich Hill and the Padres here tonight. So, which is like you mentioned, kind of weird because you said the Padres are favored, or was that a different game we were talking about there?
Padres are favored tonight. Yeah,
that's so strange. But yeah, I'm willing to just go against that. Everything against the Padres here tonight for the Phillies offense for sure. My next play is Pablo Lopez under 2.5 earned. It was minus 130 on DraftKings Sportsbook again, going up against the Cleveland Guardians, an offense that we don't expect much to come from these days here. And Lopez really pitching well for the better part of a month. I know he had like a hiccup or 2 mixed in, but for the most part, been pretty dominant. You don't really expect a lot of strikeouts to come in these sort of matchups against Cleveland. They just don't strike out a lot, but they're just offensively consistently one of the worst teams in baseball. So give me Lopez under the 2.5 earned runs tonight.
Yeah, it looks like we're rooting on a low-scoring game here because I like Giolito's under 2.5 earned runs on the other side of that matchup, and it's plus odds on DraftKings if you want to get that. But Giolito, so yeah, he's on his 3rd team now, right? He's making his first start for Cleveland tonight. And it didn't go well with the Angels, a 7.24 ERA in his 6 starts with the Angels. But I just think he's going to be a little bit more effective tonight because I look at some key splits here at home this year, spanning the White Sox and Angels. He's got a 2.53 ERA at home compared to a 6.27 ERA on the road. And, he's faced the Twins, by the way, for 3 different times already, and he's allowed under 2.5 earned runs in each of those. He's only allowed 2 total earned runs in 18 combined innings over those 3 starts. Also struck out 7+ in each of those, and I just think he can do it again here. Twins offense comes in a little cold against righties, a 3.06 WOBA, 27% strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching over the past week. So I think Giolito can get it done, limit the runs just enough here. And the key little stat I saw was in his career in Cleveland, which is obviously when he was with the White Sox most of the time. But he has a 1.67 ERA in 6 career starts in Cleveland. Yeah. So, obviously that's against a Guardians lineup, so a different, situation. But still, in Cleveland, he's clearly comfortable, and he's pitching at home. So I think he can limit it enough. So give me his under 2.5 earned runs.
Yeah, we're a little bit on the different side of these things tonight, which doesn't happen often. Usually we're kind of running plays here. But I actually, again, I'm always betting against Giolito as well. I didn't think he was a great acquisition by the Angels, and that was obviously
I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah. So I like Kepler 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs tonight going up against Giolito. We have that line set at -135 on DraftKings Sportsbook again. Giolito, gives up some power to lefties, almost a 500 slugging there. We know Kepler has a lot of power, hits against righties. So your numbers obviously are in play for sure, given his BVP numbers this year as a member of the White Sox here. But again, the man's on his 3rd team, now on a losing team. Where's his focus going to be at? I'm willing just to see if Kepler can get one done here, hitting the middle of that Twins lineup tonight.
Yeah, well, listen, both of our props could hit tonight.
True.
If Kepler maybe has a 2-hit night, or if he's the only one that scores or hits an RBI while Giolito's in there, that's fine with me.
True.
Or he hits a home run in like the 8th inning. I'd be good with that.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So the opposite sides of, I guess, the Twins and Guardians tonight, but so those are some of our picks tonight. Not a ton. We only got like 4 games on the night slate here.
Yeah.
Again, we got a bunch of games that just started up, and we'll be tracking some of those because I know we'll be watching Merrill Kelly's prop that John gave out, and the Brian Wu prop as well. But by the way,
Red's already got a man on second here, so we'll see if they can put one in on Wu early. So
there you go. First inning for them too. By the way, the Astros-Rangers game, too, just starting up. The Rangers are already off to a 2-0 lead in the first inning against the Stros there. So, big series for those two teams.
Yeah, Seager homer. Shocker, right?
Oh, my gosh. That should have been a prop I gave out, but it did not. So, all right. So, those are some picks for tonight. Before we get to Clemson versus Duke predictions coming up just in a second here, just got to remind everyone, football season starts Thursday. Get your drafts in if you haven't already. I know people will be probably doing some last-minute drafts this week, but if you haven't already, go get the NFL Draft Guide, the Fantasy Alarms Fantasy Football Draft Guide, and the Fantasy Football Cheat Sheet for free with an All-Pro subscription. You can get a free 7-day trial to the All-Pro subscription as well to get the Draft Guide and the Cheat Sheet for free. Up-to-date rankings and all that from this past weekend and just heading into week 1, starting up Thursday night, as I mentioned. So if you haven't already, go take advantage of that. You could scan that QR code or go to the fantasyalarm.com, get your free 7-day trial to the All-Pro subscription, and again, take advantage. Take advantage of now while you have the chance. All right, so tonight, we got Clemson versus Duke. It's the last college football game of week 1 in college football, and it's an interesting matchup. So I got a couple picks I want to give out to the people. It's an interesting. Yeah, I'm sitting back here, college football corner. Come on in, John. Clemson favored by 12.5 is the latest line here. Over under is around 54, 55. I like Clemson here. I know there's a lot of love for Duke in this preseason, and especially for this matchup, that they can keep it close. They're at home, which is key, obviously. But I just think Clemson is just a little undervalued for this matchup. This is a team I have projected and have picked to go to the college football playoff. I think they're going to roll through the ACC. They're going to be back. Last year was a quote-unquote down year for Clemson. They did not make the playoff. Their offense was very, underwhelming, lacked explosiveness and all that. But that's changing because they bring in Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator from TCU, brother of Lincoln Riley, who we all know runs some high-powered offenses. Garrett Riley did the same thing at TCU. Obviously, we were talking about them earlier this show. just an offense that was explosive, lights out last year. And he's bringing that to Clemson, which is a huge change from what their offense was last year. And they have a really good quarterback, Cade Klubnik, who comes in. He started the ACC championship game last year and the bowl game for Clemson and really showed out. He showed flashes of what he can do. And now that he's got like an up-tempo, air raid offense now, I think this is trouble for Duke, because Duke last year struggled against the pass. They had one of the worst, pass defenses in the Power 5 conferences, ranked 105th in the country in passing yards allowed per game last year. And I think this Clemson offense is going to really light them up. They have a lot of talent around Klubnik, really good 1-2 running back punch, Will Shipley and Phil Maffa, and a lot of talent in that receiving core for Klubnik to kind of dish and be the point guard of this offense, just like we saw with TCU. So I'm high on Clemson here, and I think Duke's just a little overvalued. This is a team that went 8-4 last year, took a big step forward last season from 2 years ago. They were kind of disappointing, and they have a really good sleeper draft prospect at quarterback. Riley Leonard will get a lot of buzz. Next NFL draft coming up. But this Clemson defense is still, they were one of the best in the country last year. They return a lot of talent, one of the best linebacking cores in the nation. And I don't see Duke's offense really keeping pace with Clemson here. And I think I love this 12.5 line. Obviously baking in, just like kind of the unknown of this offense, maybe taking a little bit, maybe a little slow. So like the first half could be, a little lower scoring until we see this offense starting to click. But I just think there's value in getting Clemson to win by, basically 2 touchdowns here. I just think in the second half, similar to what we just saw with Florida State last night against LSU. I mean, different matchup completely, a lot of, different talent, but Clemson overall is just so much more talented. And I think late in this, in the second half, once their offense starts clicking, I could see them stretching out a lead. So I got Clemson here to cover and win by, the 12.5 line, wherever the cheapest you can get it. It was at like 13. So we have seen money come in on Duke, but I still like Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, again, just the way you see their offense projecting, as you mentioned, bringing in offense coordinator from TCU. They're a team that you think, given the way Duke has played in the past, that they could cover. So I'll ride with you. More college football than I do, but you certainly said a lot of good words there.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first bet of the season, the Notre Dame Navy under in the first half did not cash.
You weren't wrong. It just you were wrong.
I'm just hoping I don't. I just don't want to lose your support, John.
It's like the Penn State cover that I saw everybody crying about, where the game was basically over. They ran the play to cover the spread there, at the end of the game. So,
listen, these head coaches sometimes, you don't even know about it, but like baked into their contracts or whatever, they have sometimes like some incentives to cover the spread and win, bigger than what the Vegas spread is. So, late in the game, we could see Clemson score late to cover the over here, or vice versa. Duke could be really pushing late if the game is like a 2-score lead to really get that late score. But I'm rolling with Clemson here. And another prop I'll just throw out tonight, because if you're playing on, where I am in Virginia, unfortunately, you can't bet college football props on DraftKings and other sites. But wherever you are, if you are able to, and I know on Underdog, this prop is out there. So if you're playing on Underdog, you can get this prop. And that's Adam Randall, a wide receiver for Clemson. His over receiving yards, over 37.5 receiving yards. I just think this line's a little too low for him. So I like the over here. He's a guy that last year his stats were very underwhelming, but he was coming off an ACL injury where his explosiveness and what he is as a true talent was all very limited. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the offense for Clemson was just very underwhelming, was a lot more run heavy than it will be this season. And I think Randall is going to be a top target for Cade Klubnik this season. Just a couple reasons. One is that they are roommates in college, and they've reportedly had like a good relationship all the way back to last season when Klubnik was the backup and Randall was also kind of a backup in the wide receiving room there, and they have a connection going back to last year. And in the bowl game, when Randall got some more playing time, when Klubnik was starting, we saw Randall have over this prop. He had like 45 receiving yards in that game as one of the top receivers for Clemson. So yeah, give me Randall here. I just expect him to take a leap now that he's fully healthy. He's gotten a lot of preseason hype in camp, that he's looking a lot more explosive. He's going to be one of the top receivers for Clemson this season. So I just think this line's a little low compared to.
It feels low, right? For an
it's
offense
low,
that you're
yeah.
thinking is going to score a lot of points in a game that has a 54 and a half total. So.
Yeah, he's supposed to be one of these top, especially in the red zone. He's going to be one of the top targets for Klubnik. So, give me the over on Adam Randall. And if you want one more over, I'll just throw out is like Antonio Williams, some of his props. He's another top receiver for Clemson. He's kind of going to be playing that Quentin Johnston role that we saw for TCU last year, who had an explosive season. So that's another prop I would look for his overs if wherever you're looking, yards, receptions, because he's playing in the slot, going to be targeted a bunch as well. So Randall should go over his yards though, and back in Clemson. We'll see. We'll regroup tomorrow and see what happens here. But all right, so those are some of my picks for tonight's game, and we got games, college football games on Friday and all day Saturday. So later in this week, I'll be giving out some picks for week 2 college football. Of course, as we're getting ready for week 1 in the NFL. Bunch of games to really prepare for here. All right, so let's wrap up today's show with some home run calls because we got to give out some home run predictions for tonight. So let's get to our daily dingers.
And that baby is gone.
Now that's a dinger.
All right, John, who you got going deep tonight?
Yeah, I got the pressure on me here, Dan, because the last 2 times I've been on this show, I've been correct. Bobby Witt has homered each of the last 2 times, plus 600 and plus 500 now. So looking for a 3-peat on the home run call. We're going to go with Max Kepler here, plus 360 to homer off of Giolito.
Okay. Yeah, you gave out his prop a little bit earlier, the hits, runs, RBIs. And if he goes deep on this one, then he hits all those props. The Bobby Witt, not on tonight's slate. The Royals are already
play today at all, actually. So wasn't able to give him out. He sat for the Royals, who have 12 runs on the board today.
Yeah,
so he probably would have homered.
Right?
Probably would have homered if he was part of that game.
All right. Well, no Bobby Witt tonight, but maybe tomorrow's show you'll be back with some Bobby Witt. I'm going with JT Realmuto, another Philly hitter here. You like their team total. I like Trey Turner props, and Realmuto is another one. He's homered in 2 back-to-back games coming into tonight, so I'm looking for him to make it 3 straight. I mentioned Rich Hill, just some rough numbers since he's joined the Padres, and overall, since the All-Star break, just some really ugly numbers. And he's allowed, 20 of his 21 home runs allowed this season, Rich Hill, have come against right-handed hitters. He's allowed 6 home runs over his last 5 starts with the Padres and 8 homers over his last 7 starts now. And Realmuto actually better numbers on the road, weirdly enough. 308 average, 597 slug on the road compared to a 201 batting average and 333 slug at home. Also has better power numbers against lefties and righties. And he comes in hot. I mentioned back-to-back games with a home run, hitting 348 over his last 7, too. So give me Realmuto to go deep. Plus 450 on DraftKings. I'll take it.
I am down to bet all of the home runs there for the Phillies. So that one works. That one works for me.
All right. So, we're back at the Phillies here. By the way, your Reds already put up 2 runs in the first inning. So the over prop on Brian Wu is looking pretty good so far. I gave out the Red Sox money line. They're already down 3-0, so that not great there.
But we'll see. Man, you gotta worry a little bit about him sometimes,
You gotta worry, yeah. And then the Rockies, Diamondbacks, still 0-0 in the second. So your Merrill Kelly under earned runs prop looking pretty good so far. But still plenty of time to kind of track these games. And we'll be doing it. Me and John are running things back on the MLB DFS live show coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern. So tune into there as me and John are giving you guys some DFS advice for tonight's slate. 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse as well tonight. So just keep it locked here on Bettor Sports Network as we give you guys out some winning plays. Appreciate everyone tuning in here. We'll be back tomorrow again at 4 p.m. Eastern here on Bettor Sports Betting. And we'll be giving out some more baseball picks, maybe talk some Heisman odds for college football. Should be a good one. So thanks for everyone joining in here. Good luck with all your pick bets tonight, and we'll catch you later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.